Welcome to New Creations for Christ. In today's testimony, I'm going to introduce my son Danny, who'll share his blessed testimony. He spent 10-15 years from his early teens into his early adulthood battling alcohol and drug addiction. You know, I've gone into bars with him and would just drink normal drinks, like water or regular iced tea, and I'd sit right across from him, letting him know that I was there, I was present to love him, right? And I remember one day I sat at a bar with him and his friends, and I told him, I said, son, I'm not real happy with your lifestyle because I know you're hurting yourself, but there isn't a damn thing you're gonna do to ever make me stop loving you. And I told him that same day that God put in my heart that He will do great things. And I knew, and I told him, I said, son, if I do not live to see it, I know it's going to happen. Now you can imagine him in a drunken state. I was called everything you could possibly imagine. My God was cursed, but it was okay. It was absolutely okay because I knew it was true and I knew it would unfold. Now I'm going to let him tell his story so you can hear it firsthand.
So let's start in the beginning. I was raised Catholic. My parents took me there every Sunday. I remember it. Actually, I remember it raining a lot on Sundays, and I just kept thinking we got to go to church. We got to go to church. And I really didn't feel it when I was a kid, and it's sad to say that, but I just didn't. My brother and I, it was just the two of us for the first 6 years on earth, and then my little brother entered the picture, and in that time of my life, he was born with so many complications. He was born with so many problems. He literally flatlined 3 times, guys. He died, brought back to life, died, brought back to life. The doctors even said, there's no way this kid's gonna survive. Just prepare yourself, you're gonna bury a baby. And that didn't happen. Just so you know, that didn't happen. About a year or two into me going to church and not making communion, I stopped right before I made my Holy Communion. My parents kind of got divorced, and I just remember my world being turned upside down. I remember what was once normal, now just seeming chaotic. And shortly thereafter, my parents separated into separate homes, and I remember going here with mom, going there with dad, and constantly traveling back and forth. I remember packing a suitcase and taking my clothes, but most of all, I just kind of remember being shuffled around and feeling lost. And much like anybody else out there that feels this way, I just didn't know what to do, and I was scared, I was alone, and I was lost. So I turned to what I thought would help me, and that was friends that were drinking and partying. I remember my dad being at work, I'd sneak into the liquor cabinet, and I would just get bombed by myself, and no one even knew it. I remember going to parties and being the guy that would just suck down as many as he could, puking everywhere, passing out. I remember people taking me home. I remember one time somebody had to I woke up in a bathtub. I guess I had puked everywhere, and they just cleaned me off and dusted me off. This was my life, and I don't want to spend too much time in the destructive parts of my life. But from about 13 to 30, I continued to do this. I continued to party, get blacked out drunk, LSD, shrooms, smoke crack, weed, cocaine, you name it. I took it into my life because I really didn't want to live. I felt so hopeless, so pissed off, so angry. Man, I just felt like there was no way that there could be a God. If there was, why would He let me suffer this much? And for me, when my parents left the church, I lost all faith. I lost all faith in man. I lost all faith in homes and marriages. I lost faith in God. I lost faith in anything that had value in this world. And I remember denouncing God to the point that I told Him I effing hate Him. I hate my father for his choices. I called my father a hypocrite. How could you profess Jesus Christ to me now? Where the hell was He when I was in my misery? And I remember just waking up in this moment and saying, God, if you're real, I need you to save me. And the craziest thing happened, and I need you to just stop for a minute and hear what I'm about to tell you. This bright light, brightest light you can imagine, like all the sun's energy going through a toilet paper tube, zapped me right in the forehead. And I remember feeling different. I was on a 3-day cocaine bender. I woke up on a sidewalk in the middle of North Carolina. I was puking blood, I was peeing blood, and I was actually passing blood in places that we just don't want to think about. It was disgusting. But I went to go see the doctor, and my stomach lining was ripped open. You want to talk about feeling hopeless? It looked like ground beef. Stomach muscle is a smooth tissue. It's supposed to look brand new and smooth and silky, but mine looked like ground beef that had been dragged across the ground, and it was bleeding. There were puddles of blood. There was dried up, like black blood in my. She showed me this picture, and I was like, "Ew, what is all that?" And I remember at that time feeling scared. Then fast forward to the last night I went out, September 9th, 2007. I woke up on a sidewalk in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, around high noon. I had puked up blood. I don't even remember how I made it back to my apartment. I actually don't even know how I got home now that I think about it. I don't know how I got there, but in that moment I remember feeling so broken, so afraid. Like I literally thought I was gonna die. And at this time I was like, you know what? I don't want to die. I was just acting that way because I wanted people to believe that I was a hard ass, but really I was scared to death, guys. I was freaked out. And in that moment I said, God, if you're real, I need you to save me. And I cried out to the people I cursed. I cried out to the God I cursed. I cried out to the parents that I had written them off. I really thought I was going to die, and I didn't care about it until this day where I woke up. They drove all the way from Cincinnati to North Carolina. They came, they got me. They hitched my car to the back of a moving truck. They loaded up my entire apartment, and they drove about 600 miles. And never once did I hear one of them say, "What the hell were you thinking?" Never once did I hear one of them say, "You're so stupid," or "You're such a loser. What the hell's wrong with you?" Instead, I heard these words, and this transformed my life forever. I heard them say, "Son, we don't approve of your lifestyle. We don't approve of your choices, but we love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do to change that." And I remember that hitting my heart, and I remember my life feeling like, oh, wait, there are people that care about me. There is hope for me. And then I get back home, I detox in my mother's basement, and I'm still lost. I still don't know what's going on, but I feel secure. I feel safe. I actually feel delivered from alcohol. I never had a desire to drink. I had never had a desire to use. I never had a desire to pick up anything. And then about 3-4 months into that, I run into somebody, and she's now my wife. And she says to me on our first date, "I got to be home early." This was a Saturday night. And I said, "Why?" And she said, "I got church the next day." And I was like, "You'll never catch me in a church. That's where all the hypocrites and liars, losers, weak people go. Those are all phony people that just don't know what else to do." Well, fast forward 2 more months, I took my weak, phony butt into the church and said, "God, I still don't know what to do." So I showed up. The choir sang Amazing Grace. I cried like a 2-year-old. The preacher preached the message of the prodigal son, which is about a boy who lost it all, squandered it, and he came back home, and his father restored his life. That was my journey, actually, guys. That was me. I came home. My father placed his arms around me. My heavenly Father said, "I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it." So I just started weeping and crying like a 2-year-old in church. And then I fast forward another 2 months. Now it's about March of 2008. And this time I started reading the Bible, and I come across this verse that said, "If one of you are sick, come to the church and have elders anoint you with oil and pray over you." So I said, "God, I'm ready. I believe you. My faith is being strengthened. Let's go." I go. They pray over me. It was weird. I could feel like this vortex happening. I can't describe it. Just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like things were swirling around my life. And from that day on, guys, my life has been a miracle upon miracle upon miracle. I can't even tell you how many miracles. The first one I'm going to tell you about, I was sober for about 7 months. It was 7 months, and I'd been going to church for 1 whole month straight, 4 Sundays. And I started reading the Bible, and the first thing I read is in James chapter 5, and it says, "If one of you is sick, come to the church. Have him anoint you with oil and lay hands on you and pray." And I said, "God, we've come this far. I'm dumb enough to believe, I'm crazy enough to believe that you could take me next level." So they laid hands on me and they prayed. Now I need to pause right here and tell you. So when I was in North Carolina, I was bleeding uncontrollably, as I was telling you. In this moment though, my stomach lining had been ripped, shredded, and there were puddles of blood stuck inside of my stomach. And the doctor told me that I was going to die if I didn't stop drinking. These people laid hands on me. And 2 weeks later, I go and I have what's called an upper and lower GI done. Basically, they put a hose up your butt and down your mouth, and they look inside of your stomach. They look at all the tubing and everything that's inside of there. And the doctor said to me, this was amazing. I just cannot comprehend what he said, but I'm going to share it with you. He said, for 34 years I've been practicing medicine, and I cannot explain what happened to your stomach but this. It's a miracle. You have the stomach of an 8-year-old boy. And I just remember feeling overwhelmed with, oh God, you're so real. You're so powerful. Not only have you stopped me from drinking, not only you've put a woman in my life who's going to teach me your ways. She prays for me. She loves me. She's brought me to you. And now you're going to put your hands on me and you're going to speak a healing over me. And in that moment, guys, my stomach was healed. And I can't even tell you what it feels. I can't even tell you. If you're sitting there thinking, wow, this is crazy. Yeah, it was. And if you're thinking that this is a lie, I'm sorry you feel that way. I got a picture I can show you of my stomach that I kept. It annoys the crap out of my wife, but I kept it because it reminds me of the glory of God. It reminds me of the same person that I cursed, decided to put all of my wrongdoings on the shelf and say, you are mine, you are chosen, I love you, I will redeem you, I will restore you. And my life goes on and continues. I get married. I have 3 beautiful sons. I ended up getting a PhD. I was teaching people how to be teachers. I work with people coming out of jails and rehabs. So if you're listening to this, God has already made a purpose, and that purpose might be something like going back into prison and telling people how your life has been transformed. But I want you to know the purpose was made first, then the person was formed. So I pray right now that you find this purpose-filled journey with God. I pray right now that you find hope and glory in the God of the universe, because that's where all of your salvation is going to come from. That's where true freedom is found, and that is where lives are restored. My name is Danny, and I'm a new creation for Christ because I surrendered my life to the God of all creation. I surrendered my life to the King of Kings, and now I'm using my life to help others find out who He is. Thank you, and we love you. Peace.
John 10:10. A thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came so that they might have life and have it more abundantly. The demon spirits of drugs and alcohol will consume you and take control of your life every day if you let them. You must understand there is an enemy that comes along with drugs and alcohol, and that enemy is death, the devil. The devil is out to steal, kill, and destroy you while you are using drugs and alcohol. Please know that God loves you so much, and He wants to help you with all your problems. He can heal your sick body. He can prosper you in many ways. So don't think that God is sitting up there and looking down and seeing how bad you are and suffering through life. He wants to help you. So just ask Him. Just say, God, help me. I need you in my life today. I put my hand in your hand. Guide me where you want me to go and show me what you want me to do.